Welcome to Eat Like a Local, a podcast discussing the food and travel guides from CZYK Publishing. Each guide highlights a travel destination through the best places to find great food, as recommended by a local in the area. Now, here's your host, Tom Hess.
Hey, hungry travelers. Welcome back to the Eat Like a Local podcast. My name is Tom Hess. I'm a media content creator, voice artist, and audiobook narrator for CZYK Publishing. CZYK Publishing is the company that brings you the Eat Like a Local books, as well as Greater Than a Tourist and the 50 Things to Know book series. Today's trip takes us to Denver, Colorado, as we look at the food scene in the Mile High City as experienced by a local author. As with all our food guides, the author makes suggestions based on their own personal knowledge. But if you're traveling to the area, please do your homework and check out the places that you want to visit ahead of time because, as always, things may change and some of the places might not be available. So let's get into the Eat Like a Local Denver Food Guide by Libby Thompson. As always, the Eat Like a Local books, ebooks, and audiobooks are available on Amazon for download, so you can get the full experience when planning your next food adventure. There'll be a link in the show notes for all these books. So, who is our author, Libby Thompson? Well, Libby is a middle school teacher from Denver, Colorado. She's a lifelong Coloradan. She enjoys the outdoors and loves to experience all that Denver and Colorado have to offer, whether it's snowboarding, hiking, or snowshoeing. Now, whenever she gets a chance, she likes to venture beyond the borders of Colorado and experience the food scene in other parts of the country and around the world. Like I said, she's a lifelong Coloradan, and Libby has always found a connection through food. So why would we want to visit Denver? Well, Colorado and Denver are an outdoor person's paradise. They have hiking, skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, mountains, almost anything the outdoorsman would like to experience, you can find it in Denver. Now, Denver, another great thing about Denver, it's a closely laid out city. Everything's kind of compacted together, and it's very convenient to get around. If you don't want to drive, and driving can be a hassle, as you'll find in some of these parts, but if you don't want to drive, there's buses, ride shares, and you can even tour the town on a scooter if you're so inclined. Denver has a great heritage and a fascinating history. As you may or may not know, it's a gold mining town. It has a history steeped in railroading, and for somebody, especially like me, Denver is a big beer town. There's walking tours available for the history buffs that can explore all that Denver has to offer through its heritage. And it's a town whose food scene is as diverse as its inhabitants. Now, when going to Denver, you want to keep in mind that it's split up into various sections of the town. And we'll go through them real briefly, just so you have an idea of what we're talking about as we get into the book. Denver has, the first part of Denver is the lower downtown area, also known as Lodo. You'll find that a lot of these places, they give them abbreviations, and I guess that's just how they speak about their areas once you're in Denver. Now, the Lodo or the lower downtown area is where you're going to find the ballpark, Coors Field, and it's also where you're going to see Union Station. Typically with your downtown trendy areas, that's where you're going to have your younger crowd. A lot of your nightlife is going to be in Lodo. Sports bars, obviously, around the ballpark. So you're going to have a lot of pub food, bar food, which is the kind of food that I enjoy, if that's what you're into. And another thing that you need to know about Lodo is you don't want to drive down there if you can at all help it, because parking is very expensive, but you can walk and there are ride shares available. Traveling across the bridge from Lodo, you get to Low-High. That is the lower highlands. And this is where you're going to find the best views of the city. So if you're a picture taker, this is where you're going to find all your Instagram moments. And another thing about this, it's also where you're going to find the most unique menus in town. So if you're an out-of-the-box eater, you want to make sure that you visit Low-High. Now we have the 5 Points area. This is called River North, also known as Rhino, although not the Rhino that you think of in the news and the media today. It's just Rhino is River North. This is where your newer places are. If you're the type of person that's always looking for something new and the trendy places that are just coming onto the food scene, you want to visit Rhino. Now for me, the thing that I like about Rhino is that's where a lot of the breweries are. If you're into craft beer, microbrews, Rhino is the place to go. Another thing about Rhino, a great food truck scene. Food trucks are all the rage. It seems like they're popping up everywhere. So if you like experiencing different types of things from food trucks, make sure you visit Rhino. The best bet for getting around Rhino is going to be LPCs. That's what we used to call them in the service, leather personnel carriers, just walking. Or another thing that's cool about Rhino, you can rent a scooter and just get around the town very easily. After Rhino comes the sections called Cap Hill and Uptown. Now this is where you want to drive, because from what Libby says in her book, it's hard to walk in these areas. Maybe I don't know, it is the Mile High City and it's a mountain, so maybe it's called Cap Hill, so I'm imagining it's probably hilly and not the easiest to walk. But if you are driving, this apparently is the easiest place to find parking. It doesn't have a lot of restaurants for the foodie, but from what Libby says, the restaurants it does have are very high quality. So I guess you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck in finding the restaurants in Cap Hill and Uptown. And finally, we have the area called South Broadway. South Broadway, according to Libby, is where the most long-lasting established restaurants and the most long-lasting bars and pubs are in Denver, there in South Broadway. Now, the thing that I like about it, according to Libby, if you are out for like a very low-key night, you just want to chill and hang out with your friends and family as you're traveling, South Broadway is the place to go. So when you think of downtown, now we've broken it down into, I think, 4 or 5 different sections of the city. But the traditional quote-unquote downtown area, as the locals call it, is going to be your lower downtown, Cap Hill, and Rhino, which is River North. That's your most centrally located downtown areas. So now that we've got the particulars out of the way, let's get into Libby's book, The Eat Like a Local Denver, Colorado Food Guide. Now, the first thing that I took note of in going through this book and reading this book is that apparently Denver is a breakfast and brunch town. And one of the places that Libby recommends in her book, it's in the section of brunching with a Creole twist, is a stop called Lucille's. As Libby writes in the book, she says, Lucille's is full of filling, hearty meals, most of which come with a large, flaky homemade biscuit. Their grits come in varieties like cheddar and jalapeno cheddar, and every variation of Eggs Benedict is a tasty option. Now, when I think of brunch, I think of eating and I think of drinking. Nothing wrong with a cocktail with brunch. And if you're going to Lucille's, as Libby puts it, Lucille's is a safe bet between their fruity cocktails and perfectly spiced Bloody Marys. There are even tropical rum or vodka-based juice drinks if you're really looking to kick off a party day. Now, if you need something in the hurry, I am a big fan of a breakfast burrito. And Libby lists the Denver's favorite breakfast burrito is one you're going to find at a place called One Fold. Now, the burritos at One Fold, as Libby puts it, these are jam-packed with egg, potato, your choice of meat, and more. And they glean added flavor from being prepared in duck fat. Now, I'm not a big duck guy, but from everything I read and see, if you cook something in duck fat, it's going to kick up the the flavor. She says further, any variation of their breakfast burrito is flavorful and moist as is, but smothering in pork or vegetarian green chili takes it up a notch. So you got duck fat, and then you're going to put chili on it. So I think you're really going to be in good shape if you choose to grab a burrito on the go at One Fold in Denver. As I was reading through this book, I found a big thing about Denver. They seem to be very health conscious. I think of Denver, I don't know why I think of cowboys and cattle, but they have a big meat alternative, vegetarian, vegan food scene in Denver. And one of the places she suggests for vegan is a place called Watercourse in the Uptown area. Now, right from Libby's own writing in her book, she says about Watercourse, their menu is entirely plant-based, and their cauliflower wings are some of the best in town. Cashew mac and cheese is another favorite. Sit outside and people watch in Uptown as you enjoy a meal entirely free of animal products. If you've got a short wait, explore their small shop for sustainable products like bamboo straws, reusable straw cleaners, and Watercourse swag. Every restaurant in a tourist area is going to have their merchandise, and why not Watercourse? If you're there for a vegan meal, you might as well. Further, she says, peak hours can be busy, but their late night happy hour is a great way to end the day. So if you're out and about and you need something at the end of the night, check out Watercourse and get yourself some nice vegan food. Now, more to my taste, and not that there's anything wrong with vegan. I've had it and there's nothing wrong with it. Talking about burgers and dogs, especially in a sports town like Denver, I think more of that kind of food than I do necessarily vegan. But talking about burgers and dogs, one of the places that Libby mentions is a place called Biker Jim's. What she says about Biker Jim's, offerings include standards like all beef and bacon cheddar brats, but also expand to wild boar, elk jalapeno cheddar, and rattlesnake and pheasant. Biker Jim's is situated right downtown, where Rhino and Lodo intersect. Whether you're brewery hopping in Rhino or about to catch a baseball game at Coors Field, this is a great place to stop for a bite. It seems like they have a lot of great options, inside the box, outside the box, whatever you might like. It seems like you're going to find it at Biker Jim's. One of the things that's most prevalent when I think about Denver, I think Denver is a beer town. So we have beers, bars, breweries, tap rooms, taverns. That's the kind of food that I like to eat, especially traveling around to new areas. I have nothing against a good restaurant, but I'm a bar food kind of guy. And a couple of the places that Libby mentions, one is a place called Rock Bottom. It's around the 16th Street Mall. And what she says about Rock Bottom is serving over a dozen small brew beers at tap. Rock Bottom's atmosphere is fun, yet elevated. There is something for everyone at Rock Bottom, from tuna poke nachos to burgers to meatless entrees. So it's bar food, but it's what I would say maybe higher level bar food. I've never gotten tuna poke nachos. I'm a nacho guy, but that's a new one for me. So Rock Bottom might be the place to go. But another option is a place called the Blake Street Tavern, also located in Lodo and near a lot of the bars and the ballpark. Libby says Blake Street Tavern is a sports bar with plenty of personality. Come for the fun ambiance. Stay for the beer and appetizers. Nachos, wings, jumbo pretzels, and quesadillas are all done right. So this, to me, seems like a place that's more of your traditional bar food. If you're in the ballpark area, coming going to a game, coming from a game, this might be the place to go. Blake Street Tavern, hang out before or after the game and get some good beer and some of your typical bar food. You can't visit a town without checking out the local pizza scene. Libby gives us a lot of options for pizza, and I'm just going to touch on one. It's a place called Blue Pan. And the thing that I like about Blue Pan, as Libby puts it, Blue Pan's Detroit-style pizza is a crowd favorite. Detroit-style pizza has a thick crust and plenty of cheese. For those who believe pineapple goes on pizza, the Sweetie Pie with pineapple, bacon, jalapeno, and ricotta will be the highlight of your day. The Kodo Telluride is an exciting vegetarian option featuring creamy artichoke and spinach sauce. Blue Pan leaves room for a variety of tastes and also offers thin New York-style pizzas and a few options for the Chicago style. There's even a healthy selection of gluten-free pizzas on their menu. So, if you like pizza, they have Detroit, they have New York. And New York would be, obviously everybody knows about pizza, but New York is just your regular round pie, floppy, that you'll fold over eating on the street. But Detroit, New York, Chicago, and for the healthy, they even have their gluten-free, healthy options, vegetarian. So what I found from going through this book is that a lot of the places all seem to have some type of healthy and or vegetarian, vegan options on their menu. It seems, just from reading this book, that, like I said, Detroit is a very health-conscious city. So there's all kinds of alternative food items to experience in Detroit. I'm still thinking about the pizza. In Denver, so you can have your choice wherever you might happen to want to stop. As with every city, there is international food everywhere. And Denver certainly does not disappoint when it comes to international food. It seems to me there's something for everyone. They have pho, which is Vietnamese soup type thing. Ethiopian food. If you want Ethiopian food, you can go to a place called Arada Ethiopian in Lincoln Park, or the Ethiopian restaurant in City Park, Mesab Ethiopia in Montclair, or Queen of Sheba in Park Hill. That's 4 already. I couldn't name an Ethiopian restaurant in my town. I mean, Denver has 4, at least 4 that she mentioned. Indian food at Little India, or the Sherpa House and Cultural Center. If you like sushi, there's Sushi Den in South Denver. Go Fish on South Broadway. Choose your sushi spot based on what you're looking for today. If you want a classic, purist sushi experience with fresh fish that's flown in daily, go to the Sushi Den. If you'd like a more relaxed atmosphere with a large menu and some specialty chilled sake, Go Fish is for you. So that's 2 what seems to be great options for sushi if you're into that. If you like Thai food, you can go to the Monkey Club on South Broadway. Now, if you want something like crepes, Libby says the best that she's managed to find is at the Boulder Farmers Market on Saturdays. There's also a place called Crepes and Crepes that's located on the 16th Street Mall. Now, although it seems, as we've gone through this, that people in Denver are very health conscious, they do have some places if you want to splurge. They have some, what she calls Southern Delights. A place called the Welton Street Cafe in Rhino has wings and burgers to fried shrimp and fried chicken. They also have a place called Boney's Barbecue. It's your best chance for perfectly smoked foods and finger-licking sauces. Now, that's just some of the restaurants that Libby mentions in her book, but she also has a lot of bonuses that you can check out. If you want a good seafood dinner, Libby says to check out a place called Jack's Fish House. That's Jax on Monday nights. And Mondays is all-day happy hour at Jack's, where she says you can buy snow crab by the pound, oysters on the half shell, and peel and eat shrimp for the table. You can pair this with wine or beer from their extensive selection and eat to your heart's content. That sounds like a pretty good Monday night to me. Another place that is suggested from the book is if you like hanging outdoors, a great rooftop option is a place called the Irish Rover on South Broadway. This is any time of the year, as Libby writes, there are misting machines in the summer to keep guests cool, while heaters and plastic screens keep diners warm and shielded from the wind in cooler months. It's open late and always worth a stop if you're bar hopping in the area. If you're traveling with a dog, their backyard patio is a dog-friendly spot to enjoy a beer and a meal. A lot of people travel with their animals, so if you're looking for a place to go where you're out walking your dog, try the Irish Rover. So what would a meal day travel adventure be without dessert? Libby List gives us a lot of selections for desserts, but the one that I wanted to hit on, because it's ice cream, and I love ice cream, is a place called Smith and Cannon. It's in City Park West. They have some peculiar ice creams. I'm just going to read it right from the book. Something spicy like El Chupacabra, which is a spicy chocolate flavor, or Dusabi, which is a mix of honeydew and wasabi, or try the Strawbanero, which is strawberry habanero. I would imagine they also have, hopefully, traditional flavors, but sweet and spicy, hot and cold are some great options, some great combinations. So you can check it out. There's also a place called My King's Ice Cream, which is fairly new. It's in the Skyland area. They rotate 12 flavors, and their claim to fame are cereal milkshakes. Get a taste of your childhood with Cinnamon Toast Crunch or a Fruity Pebbles milkshake. We all know that the best part of the cereal is drinking the milk, so you might as well make it into a milkshake and have a good time with it. That's just the tip of the iceberg as far as Denver and food go. Just from reading this book, Denver seems like a great food town. Certainly a place if you're traveling in the mountain, the Rocky area, the western part of the United States. If you haven't been to Denver, go visit some of these restaurants. If you have been to Denver, go and re-explore. Visit some of the places you haven't been. But if you're traveling, do your homework ahead of time, especially if you want to go for a food adventure. And get some intelligence, as it were, before you go. You can check out the Denver area through TripAdvisor.com. You can go to denver.org, or the one that seems to be the best to me is a place called denvereater.com. So do that, get all that information, and go visit Denver, or visit Denver again, and visit some of the places, eat at some of the places where maybe you haven't been before, and visit Denver in an all-new light. So that's it for our Eat Like a Local Denver Food Guide by Libby Thompson. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, all the Eat Like a Local publications can be found on Amazon in either paperback or ebook format, and most are available on audiobook format too. Hopefully, what we've talked about today has inspired you and motivated you to travel to Denver and check out all they have to offer with what apparently is a fantastic food scene in Denver. So please join us for our next episode, and remember to subscribe to the Eat Like a Local podcast. It's available on all your podcast platforms. You can find out more information about this Eat Like a Local book and others at greaterthanatourist.com. So until I see you next time, remember, have a great travel experience, eat well, be healthy, be happy, travel to Denver, and explore all the food world has to offer you. I'll talk to you right here next time on Eat Like a Local, the podcast. Be well.
Thanks for listening to Eat Like a Local from CZYK Publishing with your host, Tom Hess.